everyone's time is precious. So I would like to just take the time to say thank you so much for being here tonight. Maria Di Santi has been our yoga instructor before I joined, and I've been there for 5. So Maria, how many years?
Oh, I think it's probably about 7 or 8 years.
Okay. And we're very lucky to have Maria because, all our instructors, I have to say, I think are very passionate about what they do. And Maria is no exception. So Maria, I'll turn it over to you and we'll have some questions hopefully at the end as well.
Hopefully, yes. So I'm here to answer questions, but also to just give you some information. Some of you already have heard a lot of what I'm going to speak about, but I'm also going to talk about some other things. So first, we're going to talk about what yoga is. We're going to talk about what are the benefits of our practicing yoga, who should practice yoga. We're going to talk about what class we should take and why we should take a specific class and why we use props in our classes. And we'll go over, as I said, what specific class is meant for you to take. So you'll learn a little bit about that. And if you're still not sure after everything that we cover, then, ask, by all means ask, okay? So first thing that we're going to talk about is what is yoga? Most people come in and they decide they're going to take a yoga class because they want to get fit and strong. And by all means, that's a beautiful way to enter the class. But as you start to practice yoga, you may really realize that there's so many more reasons why you would take a class. So in Sanskrit, yoga means union. It means, the root meaning means yoke, to join. So we unite to achieve a peaceful body, but also a peaceful mind. So we're joining everything together. So it's not just about the physical aspects of it. So it includes breath control, simple meditation, and the adaptation of specific body part movements. So there's more than just moving a body in yoga. That's physical exercise. Yoga is a science. It's not a religion. And there are specific techniques and procedures that we do in order to achieve certain results. So that's where the science of it comes in. It is meant to bring harmony to body, to the mind, and the spirit. So those are the 3 things that we join together that form union in them. So our question would be, why practice yoga, or who should practice yoga? So let's go with who should practice yoga. So when we talk about practicing yoga, you hear a lot of times people say, oh, I'm not flexible enough, so I can't practice yoga because I'm not flexible. That's like saying, well, I'm dirty, but I can't take a shower because I'm dirty. Well, the whole point is, if you're not flexible, right, you want to become flexible. If you're dirty, you take a shower to get clean. So if you're not flexible, your range of motion is limited, you have problems breathing, then practicing yoga is the perfect thing for you. I've heard this a few times, and I really love this. One of the classes that I was taking for my training, one of the teachers said that, if you can breathe, then you can practice yoga. So that's one of the major components of yoga, is yogic breathing. Everybody can breathe, so everybody can practice yoga. It's not about how deeply you move into postures. It really is just finding and more awareness of your body and where its range of motion is. So there's so many benefits to practicing yoga, and I'm only going to name a few. There are so many benefits. And as you do take yoga classes, you'll experience maybe these first ones that I'm going to explain, but there's so many more added to this that are more subtle. First thing is it trains the body and the mind to self-observe. So we can become aware of our own nature. We can become aware of when we're pushing too hard. We can become aware of just the subtleties of how we think and how we move. And this helps us in our everyday life. Medical research, they've done so many studies on yoga now, and there's so much that's really valuable that I can't even go into how many things I've read about the research of yoga, but one of the things is that they have done studies and the researchers found that it improves quality of life. As you begin to practice weekly, whatever amount that you can, you will see a difference. It just automatically happens. It automatically rewires brain chemistry, and it does help to boost your mood just by those breathing techniques and moving your body in a peaceful, harmonious way. It helps to increase range of motion. It helps with mobility, flexibility, with stamina, and also strength. It builds a mental fortitude. It supports heart health. It cultivates self-awareness, which we talked about the first one. It reduces stress and anxiety and manages depression by staying in the present moment while we're practicing. Many people, even after one class, can say, wow, I can't believe I felt a little more peaceful. So you can feel that instantaneously how it works. It helps you breathe more deeply and better. It helps you to sleep better. So here's my mascot, Spunky. He likes to join all of our classes, so he'll probably come and sit here. It helps to reduce inflammation. It improves concentration, and it helps with lower back pain. When the practice is done with ease and without pushing. So the important things about what class you should take and why it's important to know what class you should take. So one of the things I'd like to talk about is when we push too hard and we extend our muscles, our tendons and ligaments and stretch too deeply. This could cause strain, tears, and it could cause body injuries. So we may not think maybe a first couple of times in a class where we're pushing ourselves and pushing, because that's the typical thing that we've learned with physical exercise. No pain, no gain. That's not yoga. It's actually the complete opposite. So we may think, wow, I'm pushing my body for an extended period of time. It may cause injury. So this is so important when we're choosing a class that's right for us. Trying too hard and overdoing also causes injuries. If something is painful at the start, it shouldn't be done. It will do more harm than more good. So those are really, it's very important in your practice. And while we're practicing, I stress this all the time. I'm always reminding people, because we are so, especially if we're new to yoga, we don't realize our threshold for pain. And there's a disassociation from the body And we don't realize that what's the difference between pain and deep stretch or gentle stretch. So we get to know body awareness while we're practicing, so we don't move to that feeling of pain or strain. So sometimes we're desensitized to our pain and we're not even aware of it. We don't even recognize that difference. So those are the things that we want to be mindful of when we choose a class that's right for us. So talking about now what class is right for you. So we offer 3 different classes. So I'm going to start with the floor yoga class. That's the 9 a.m. class. It's the advanced intermediate class. And I just like to read just a little bit about the requirements to take that class. If it's easy for you to get up and down off the floor, if you're very familiar with yoga already and have been practicing for a few years, if you're familiar with the breathing techniques, especially diaphragmatic breathing or 3-part yoga breath, if you have a knowledge of how to make minor adjustments to your body using the props so that your posture and your practice can be a little more easeful to suit your body, then the advanced intermediate yoga class at 9 a.m. is the proper class for you. If you've noticed that you're really struggling and you've been taking that class and you're really struggling to just find ease in your practice, then you might want to switch your class to the beginner intermediate class, which is at 10:15. So at that class, that second class, that's the new class that we're offering, it's being offered so that if there's any injuries or if you've been struggling in the 9 a.m. class, we're offering this so that it's a little more gentle. So if you can get up and down off the floor, but it takes you some time or you need to practice this, then this is the class for you. If you have any physical challenges like low back or spine limitations or neck or shoulder injuries, then this is the class that you might want to take, because we'll be a little slower, we'll be a little more mindful about not maybe taking the postures to an extended point, because there's a beginning of a posture and we move that posture from one point to the next point to the next point. Maybe we won't go so deeply into the poses. We'll just start at the starting point, and maybe by the end of the semester, maybe if you're a little more familiar, we'll go in and maybe do something a little more challenging. If you have a limited range of motion in some part of your body, then this is the class for you. If you've never practiced yoga before, if there's very little knowledge about yogic breathing, or if you've not practiced yoga for a long period of time and you're just coming back to that, then this is the class that you would want to take. If you cannot get down on the floor, then chair yoga is the class for you. In chair yoga, you don't have to stand. We will be doing maybe 10 minutes of standing practice, but that's not a requirement for practicing chair yoga. It's essential for you to know that in chair yoga, if you can breathe and move your body in any range of motion, then you can take the chair yoga class. In that class, I always insist that you never move to pain. So that's something that we stress throughout the whole practice. You don't have to stand to do it. You don't have to lift your arms over your head. You don't have to turn your head in a certain way. You're going to honor. So important. So anybody can practice chair yoga class, whether you can stand or you don't stand. So those are, if you have any questions for that, I'm going to hold off because I want to just talk about the use of props. So in chair yoga class, what's required for you is to have a chair, obviously, that has no arms and that has some kind of a back for support. And then the next thing that you're going to be asked to have is some kind of a strap. So there are yoga straps, but you don't have to buy a yoga strap. You can use a scarf, you can use a tie, you can use a rope. Typically, before I even had straps, I just used the men's tie. So it doesn't matter what you have. You can, if you free, just get whatever you have, use a rope. So you're going to need that for your practice. In the floor yoga classes, you're going to need a mat. You're going to need 2 yoga blocks, and you're going to need that strap, scarf, or tie. Yoga blocks are essential for the yoga practice, and we're going to talk about why this is essential. So you can have yoga blocks that are, I think they come in ranges of 2, 3, and 4 inches. So that would be this way. The length of it is always the same. It's always, I believe, 6 inches. And I like to recommend 3 inches. This is a 4-inch block, so it's a little bit wider. So 3-inch blocks, or this is close to that, so it might be just a little bit smaller. So I do recommend that. And you can get these anywhere. You can get them at Five and Below. You can get them at you can order them online. You can go to any sporting goods and you'll be able to get these. Five and Below, they're cheap. So why do we use these props? Why is it so important to use the props? Because they keep your body safe. We want to make sure that we do not injure our physical body, our muscles, the joints, the tendons, the ligaments. It's also important so that we make the body comfortable in the poses so that we can breathe deeper and relax more. So the whole practice is meant towards relaxation, not straining or stressing. And these blocks, the straps, help us to do that. It helps to give the body more stability. We can gain more flexibility and support in a non-harming way when we use our props. It helps rigid bodies to find more ease so that we can be still sometimes in the poses and it can feel a little more easeful. They provide length and they supply support. They also help to master a posture that's more demanding and maybe more flexible, and we may need more flexibility, but they also help us with balance. It helps you to they help you to tailor your practice to a specific shape and structure so that you're aligning your bones more properly. When we achieve more proper alignment, rather than struggling to force the body to look a certain way, we're not harming the body. Also, postures that are otherwise not accessible to us can be achieved without injury. Tight and unstretched bodies need the support. They're also used as an extension of length of the bones. So sometimes, based on body structure, our legs may be very long and our arms may be really short. and you're never going to be able to do something that somebody has shorter legs and longer arms can do. So they're used as an extension. They're used as a help and support. So the other thing that I want to mention, in a floor yoga class, I'm actually sitting on a blanket. This is another important part of the floor yoga class, either to have a yoga blanket or a throw blanket, because we use this also for support. So I'm sitting on this to help tip my pelvis forward so that I'm not dumping weight into my lower back. So I hope that there's a little bit more understanding of why these tools really do help us to make our practice one where we're not going to harm our bodies. So I'm going to open up the class now to anybody that might have any questions about which class they need to take, or any questions about yoga in general. I'll be happy to answer any questions now. So you're welcome to, I'll give Mary Beth the floor as far as that's concerned.
Everyone is actually muted, so you're just going to have to unmute your mics. So Maria, I'll just start off by asking one question. I am not a yogi. I've always been intimidated by it. And I think the one thing I'm taking away from this is you definitely want to put yourself in a class where you feel comfortable, because if you're stressed out, like that you're not doing the move the right way, you're defeating the whole purpose. And that's why I think I never was drawn to yoga, because I never found that right, like true beginner, like 101 class. So now I understand why it's important to do that, because then you're defeating the whole benefit of what you should be getting out of a yoga practice.
Exactly, Mary Beth, exactly. Less is more, especially in the beginning. Less is more. Do less, experience less, so that you can
get more out of it.
Yes. And you don't have to do everything in the class, ever. You don't have to do everything. We're so used to that teacher mentality, that teacher says do this, so I have to do this. And it really isn't about that. The more you practice, I know that I go into classes and some days I feel really lethargic and I don't do everything in the class, or I'll do less. And then sometimes I feel really energized and I'm in a class, and when I'm in a class that really is doing less in the class, I know how to add to the class to make it more challenging for myself.
So,
and you will learn those things.
Right. I have another question, but I want to open it up to anybody else who has a question. Go ahead, Susan.
I signed up for the floor yoga at 9 o'clock because I've been doing this for a number of years, but I think I'm struggling now and I don't know whether I should switch to the other class or not. Maria knows what I can do and what I can't do, and I'm wondering if I would be better off in the more relaxed class. And if I decide, am I able to switch from one class to the other after I've already paid for the 9 o'clock one?
As of right now, I would say you're fine in switching. Again, I don't know where everyone's going to be at with registering. I didn't look at registrations today, so I don't know how close we are to closing out the classes. So I guess my advice would be, if you're leaning towards making the switch, Susan, I would make it now and not wait till the semester starts, just in case, like, the one you want to move into is at capacity.
Okay, and I signed up for in-person class too.
Right. That's the one. So I should clarify. It's the in-person ones that I'm worried about. Online, I'm not worried about. It's the in-person that we're limiting to 10 people being in the classroom.
Okay. All right.
Because, like, for example, Bone Up I forgot if it's Tuesday or Thursday, it's already closed.
Well, it's Wednesday and Friday for me, so that if I change my mind, how do I go about that? Just call?
Just call Wendy or speak to myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question about Maria was saying that for the chair yoga, you cannot have any sides. Well, I have scoliosis and I'm tilted on one side. I'm exaggerating now if you look at my picture. But my left side is really curved. So I need something to keep straight. With the other arm, I can be free. So is that possible?
Yes. So, you typically, as a general rule, so you're an exception, right? If somebody's going to come in and say, well, I have to use this chair. But as a blanket statement for the general population that can move their body in a way that they can really move, the arms will get in the way. For you, you need that support. So definitely, I can't stress enough for you, Rosa, that you just do what you can because you're going to get benefits out of it.
Okay.
So as a general, no arms on a chair, but for you, definitely anybody that's coming in that says, okay, I need this for this, then you'll adapt it.
And I might alternate because for a while, I can probably hold it, not, but then after a few minutes, I need to go back. But, most of the times, I think I can work around it. We'll see.
And what's important, I really stress anybody that's going to take any of these classes, whether you're new or you're not new, I'm always available if you have questions. If you have questions either at the beginning of a class, at the end of the class, or email me and say, I'd like to speak to you. I'm here, right, Susan? I mean, I'm here and available. I want you to ask questions. I want you to be able to say, I can't do this way. Is there another way that I can do this? That's what I'm here for, because I can give options. If you're unsure of something, if you don't know if it's the right way of doing something, or if you can do something else, that's what I'm here for.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I see that there's a couple of other new people that are new to this. Does anybody have any questions about, that you're new and you haven't experienced any of this? I'd be happy to answer some questions.
Maria, can a true beginner who has never ever taken a yoga class before go right into your chair yoga class?
Yes,
Okay.
because I always start at the beginning, and I always explain at the beginning of the semester. I share the yogic breathing techniques. We always go over. So that's something that anybody can do at any point. Yeah.
So you're really building throughout the semester.
Yes, always building.
Always building. Okay.
Yeah. But it's not to say that you can't start at the beginning. I do like for myself to go to a beginner class for myself, because I hear things from different teachers that I've never heard before. So it's always a new experience.
Right. I was going to ask, go ahead, Susan, go ahead.
If you don't get, what would be the maximum amount of people that you'd need in the 10-15 class in order to keep it going?
Wow, Susan, that's a great question. I honestly haven't crunched the numbers because I'm going to be optimistic that I don't need to go there. How's that?
Okay, because I'm thinking if you cancel the class, I'll just stay in the 9 o'clock class.
I'll put it out there, Susan. I know you're that one person who's
Okay.
already spoken to me that you're looking to go back and forth. One person isn't going to make or break that class. So I will duly note it that we've spoken, but we'll cross that bridge. And hopefully we don't have to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan, I do have to say that if anybody in that class is questioning it, then those are the people that should be in the 15 class.
Okay. I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Maria, I was going to ask a question. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm taking over, but honestly, this is a great workshop for me too. Can you give us an example of how you use the yoga block?
I can. And I can't stress this enough because I see it so much in my classes. When people sit on the floor, I see this, right? And what happens when I see this, when people sit, automatically what happens is people do
Okay.
this. There's a rounding here. Your back is not meant to be like that. And what that does, it puts stress on your whole spine. And eventually, you may not feel this, but if you're practicing for a year, you're practicing for 6 months, eventually you're going to wonder why you either have low back pain, sciatic pain, hip pain, or knee pain. I'm practicing yoga. Why am I feeling this? Because your knees are really high and you're dumping weight there and you're straining to sit properly. I can't stress enough that it's important to do this. If your knees are higher than your hips, then you should be sitting on your block. You should be sitting on your block so that your knees are low. Do you see what happens? Everything just releases because you're using the support. When you're sitting in your seated pose, it can be crossed legs, it can be out to the sides. So when you're sitting this way, when your knees are lower than your hips, you take all the stress off of your lower back. I could say this over and over again, but people don't realize this. And then they wonder why they're practicing and why they're feeling all of these aches and pains. So this is a perfect explanation of why to use that. Another practice is when people are, it's called runner's lunge. Your leg is forward and your other leg is back. You can't touch the floor. Some people have really long legs and their arms don't touch the floor and they're straining for balance. Really, when you're in runner's lunge, there should be some part of contact with your hands to the floor. If it doesn't, then you use those blocks to assist you so that the pose is easeful. So you're not struggling to hold alignment. Because then it looks like this. You know, the knees out to the side, you're trying to reach down, you're rounding your spine, and you're tipping your hip over to the side. And the whole point here, then you're starting to strain in what you're doing, and you're not focusing on breath easeful, aligning bones, and then you're going to injure your joints. You're going to injure the connections, the tendons and the ligaments in the knees and the hips and your whole spine. So those are just a few things. So I can't stress enough that really, you may not notice it at first, but eventually it will affect your body.
And I didn't realize that that's what you use your blanket for. So now I know that too.
Well, that's one of the things, but
Yeah.
we do use it for some restorative stuff too. We use it for quite a number of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's another thing that's, I'd say so many people, can you see my legs?
Yes.
So many people, when they sit with their legs out, the backs of the legs don't touch the floor and everybody strains to keep the legs down. And then the same thing happens. You start to strain and then this is what you do. And again, what you're doing is really hurting that whole area on your back. All that sciatic stuff, the muscles that attach all to the sciatic bone. So in order to sit up without strain, you roll up the blanket and place it behind the backs of your legs. And then when you do this, you're not trying to reach your legs to the floor. There's a support there so that you can sit up more easily. props are there to help you to support so that you're not straining to do that. You can even use your blocks to do that too.
You see the difference in the alignment. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think I will say bye for now.
Thanks, Rosa, for being
Thank
with
you,
us.
Rosa.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
I
good
hope to see
evening.
you in September.
See you in September.
you in September. Yes, thank you.
Bye, bye, bye. All right. Well, does anyone else have any questions for Maria while we have her tonight? Thank you for giving us your time and talent tonight, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me do this. And I hope everybody got something out of this and it helped you to make some decisions as to what's right for you.